Hello, my name is Andy, and I am the Village Idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. So I'm beginning this one at the village's old red phone box. We've seen plenty of these in our time. Let's see what's in this one. Well, there's a defibrillator and plenty of books. It's your typical standard book exchange. I wonder if there's anything in this village that's not standard, something we haven't seen before. There's only one way to find out. Let's explore Bolton Percy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Bolton Percy is a very historic village in the Selby district of North Yorkshire. According to the 2001 census, it had a population of 305 in 115 households, reducing marginally to 304 at the 2011 census. The village is about 4 miles east of Tadcaster, lying on the road between there and Appleton Roebuck. It's a village that's built on soil that is a strong loam that rests on clay. Before we get going properly, I should just warn you, it was still raining heavily as it had been all day when this one was done. At times the audio is quite bad as the rain absolutely soaked my camera. The village lies within the Selby and Ainsty Parliamentary constituency. It's also within the Escrick electoral division of the North Yorkshire County Council and the Appleton Roebuck ward of Selby District Council. The parish council covers the nearby village of Colton and of Steeton. It has 6 members, of which 3 are from Bolton Percy. It was historically part of the West Riding of Yorkshire until 1974. This is another parish that forms part of the Ainsty, the former wapentake, which includes the likes of Colton, Steeton and Appleton Roebuck. It's effectively a village that is laid out in a rectangular fashion with a few odd side streets that are off it, like for example, Marsh Lane. So Marsh Lane is a dead end, but I don't think I'm missing much down here anyway because there just seems to be on the map just houses on either side. Not really much more than that. It seems to be the kind of village that has a good, strong community. Take as an example of this events such as this advertised for this coming June. If Bolton Percy has one problem though, it would be this. The sign here stating the road was closed due to flooding is very much there for a reason, as you're about to see. Well, the sign that we've just seen, it wasn't kidding. Look at this. This, my friends, was the route I was supposed to take around this village. I was supposed to come down this road because it leads to the church. I don't think somehow I'm going to be able to get through that. The flooded road was on my route, so I quickly had to change where I was going. The watercourse causing the flood is called the Foss. Towards the end of this video, we'll get a closer look at the Foss from the other side. Luckily for this one, I do have a plan B. The idea was to walk down there and round in a circle. Well, if I can't go that way, I'll go the other way. History time. Originally, Bolton Percy was known as Bodeltone, which over time would commute to Bolton. That was until 1284. Following the Norman Conquest, when William de Malet served as the county's first High Sheriff, the village of Bolton was held by Malet himself. Later, the lordship of the manor fell to the Percy family, as noted by Kirkby's Inquest of 1284. It was at that time that the name of Percy was added to the village. Now, as if having a road being closed thanks to flooding wasn't bad enough, look at this. no access to Tadcaster via Bolton Percy. It means via this road here. Now, this is kind of a problem for me because I was planning on doing Oxton after this, but that's not going to happen now because Oxton is that way towards Tadcaster. It also affects this video too because I can't go down there. I can't get to a landmark which is where I would have finished this video off. But that's what picture bits are for, and you'll see what that landmark is in a short while. The building I was after was Hornington Manor. Originally, Hornington was a settlement located by the River Wharfe. It gradually dispersed over the centuries, although a large house and cottage remained, thought to be the original Hornington Manor. The picture bit will show you the current one. There's a connection to Maltby in Rotherham here. After the Percy family, the lordship of the manor passed to the Vesci family, who resided in South Yorkshire near Roche Abbey. The lordship of Bolton Percy next passed to their relatives, the Beaumonts, on the death of the de Vesci heir. It would eventually pass to the Fairfax family, who were associated with the village for several centuries and whose family memorials can be found in the village church. So what's Bolton Percy like in the modern age? Well, it has a modest population, estimated in 2020 to be more around the 350 mark as opposed to the latest official figures. It's spread over an area amounting to 9.4 square kilometres. That gives it a population density of 37.15. A rare find, the entire parish is white British at 100%. £407,000 is as much as you'd be expected to pay for the average house. Guess what, guys? The number 21 bus makes an appearance again. It runs through Bolton Percy on its way to York. Whilst the village has no shops, it does have a tea room, Doyley's, which is situated inside a lovingly restored cowshed and courtyard. Doyley's is named after the owner's grandmother, who had Doyley as her middle name. In 2019, the tea room moved from the farmhouse to the converted cowshed. Almost all of its interior is built from reclaimed materials from the adjoining farm. The village has a cricket club that plays in the York and District Senior Cricket League. Out towards the railway line at the northern end of Bolton Percy is where you'll find the cricket club. It's also where one of the parish notice boards is sited, and I had a bit of trouble with this one. Let's try that again. Oh, hang on. This one opens. Oh, that's better. Get in. Now, this building I believed initially to be the parish room, but I later learned that's closer to the church. This is the village hall, and it hosts the post office on a Wednesday from 10 until 2. All Saints Church was built in the 15th century by Thomas Parker. Visitors come from far and wide to view the stunning stained glass windows, of which there are 14 in total. The east window and the Millennium window attract the most attention. Inside is a memorial dedicated to Elizabeth Hawke, made by the notable sculptor Richard Fisher and erected in 1748, commissioned by her only son, Sir Edward Hawke. The Hawkes are linked to 3 other Selby parishes we've already seen, Elizabeth having been born at Steeton in 1677, later living in Scarthingwell Hall. As a sailor, Edward Hawke had few equals, and there are countless books written about him, his naval exploits, and his conquests. He was an elected Member of Parliament for Portsmouth from 1747 to 1776, and thereafter granted the title First Baron Hawke of Towton. There's a pub here, the Crown Inn, seen on the left. Like the 2 in Appleton Roebuck, this has struggled since the COVID pandemic to reopen its doors. Now, you're not going mad, but you're about to see this same shot twice. And that's because on the right is the Gatehouse, which originally formed part of the medieval defences of the village. There are only 2 buildings like this in the entire country. Believe it or not, it's now a holiday let. The Gatehouse was built in 1474 at the entrance to the Old Rectory, a Grade II listed William and Mary house dating from much later, 1698. It was formerly the residence of the Archdeacon of York and more recently the Bishop of Selby. Outside the Crown Inn we have a water pump which I found to be quite interesting. It reminded me a little bit of the pump in Hillam, albeit just a different colour, blue as opposed to brown. The village's war memorial is a stone cross surmounting a stone column within the churchyard. This only displays the village's World War I casualties, of which there are 23. The peaceful cemetery garden, which opened in 1861, is located across the road from the church. All Saints' churchyard, by the way, was closed to new burials in 1871. A small group of volunteers meet each Monday evening between 6 and 7:30 to work on the cemetery garden. They remove ivy from the gravestones and outer wall, deadhead plants, clear away debris, and generally tidy the whole area. The village sits between two major railway lines. You'll recall in the Colton episode, the junction between the East Coast Main Line and the Dearne Valley Line was mentioned. Bolton is between the two, as the junction is to the northeast. What you're looking at here is the Dearne Valley Line, which is to the village's northwest. The East Coast Main Line is to the east, passing under Church Lane, the road or footpath that was alluded to between Appleton Roebuck and Bolton Percy. Now, the railway line here is not the only piece of railway information I can give you about Bolton Percy. Here, I'm on a footpath, which used to be a railway line itself, or at least the railway line was close to it if it wasn't exactly right here where I'm standing. That's because this here used to be the site of Bolton Percy Station. Bolton Percy's railway station served the village from 1839 to 1965 on the York and North Midland Railway. When open, it consisted of a single long island platform serving just two of the four lines, a similar configuration to that of neighbouring Ullerskelf. The platform and buildings were demolished after closure. No trace remains of the station today, save for a gap between the lines where the platform once stood. The site is now a nature reserve. Now let's talk a bit about the water features in Bolton Percy. This stream runs under the main street and into the Foss. Water has always defined why Bolton Percy exists. In very early times, the village stood near an important crossing of the River Wharfe. There's a substantial stone road running underneath the village, apparently of Roman construction. It may be that it was an ancient passage and crossing of the river as an alternative or early precedent to the crossing in Tadcaster. The Foss drains into the Wharfe, its source being close to Wig Hill, north of the town. Now, I'm pretty sure that all this looks much better when the sun's shining and it's not flooded. But this is how I found it, I'm afraid, people. To be honest with you, Bolton Percy is not a bad village even when the rain's falling. Let's be honest. It does look rather nice. Some cracking properties, some really old architecture and lots of history to get my teeth into. Time for a picture bit. Here it comes right now. And there you have it, that is the parish of Bolton Percy. Now the Strava map you're about to see will obviously show the route I've walked, and you'll be able to tell which part of the map was the flooded part. So it's taken me about an hour and 10 minutes to walk around. It probably wouldn't have taken me that amount of time if that road hadn't have been flooded, but you know, I can't help the weather, I can't help how things are, I'm afraid. So yeah, an hour and 10, but it's been a nice walk around, and this has been a nice village to do that walk in, to be honest with you. Okay, I was going to go to Oxton next. Don't know where I'm about to go now, but it'll be somewhere else in the district of Selby, and I'll see you next week. This has been the parish of Bolton Percy, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.